Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. Recently I had the opportunity to speak with Joey from the library of the Untold. We had a nice chat. It was my first time speaking with him. The conversation is about an hour and 20 minutes. I was not able to be on the camera since I'm resting a back injury, but he was on the camera, and then afterwards I edited in various pictures of myself laying down relaxing my back so I give you the same vibe through imagery, and threw in a couple of other pictures of some paintings that I've done in the past and a logo for the Subtle Realms and some other silly things because I'm a big goofball. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks for being here. And it's Joey's 40th birthday, so say happy birthday if you're here in the chat or in the comments. It looks nice to have your face there. I wish I was able to. I'm just laying down, My shtick, I guess, is the girl with the injury that interviews people from bed.
You have a very clear audio and a very ASMR voice, so I think
Okay.
it works for you. And if that's like a
Yeah.
lot of people like to listen, so that might be your target market. Well, I want to tell you something
Okay.
about your channel. I was watching your newest video, and you had said something about not wanting to having like a cerebral hygiene about
Mm.
approaching these things like ether, plasma, electromagnetism, and stuff, where you
Mhm.
don't really want to adopt anyone else's point of view on it. It's still so new
Right.
that no one can really pinpoint it with anything.
Yes.
And I just wanted to add to that because I think that's not only beautiful, that's exactly the approach
Yeah.
that needs to be taken to it. But that's precisely the difference between technical jargon and allegory, that the ancients had a thorough understanding of these things, as we
Mhm.
are coming to know without any hesitation about nowadays.
Right.
But they didn't utilize scientific jargon. They weren't as limited as that. They utilized allegory, of course, in their oral traditions, personification in the
Yeah.
forms of storytelling. That way, everyone, not just people with a degree, with a diploma, but everyone could have a thorough understanding
Mhm.
of these subtle forces
Right.
that are surrounding us and within us all the time. And
Exactly.
you captured that beautifully by saying that, made it modern, though.
Thank you so much for saying that. That's so encouraging and empowering. And yeah, it's interesting. I've always been um, a mystic type individual growing up by myself, kind of lost in the clouds or whatever. Now that I'm doing all of this contemplation and things are arising from the subtle realms,
Mm-hmm.
some of the things are ineffable, even to just all language. And so I think there's a permission to have these artistic mystic types bring in like the shaman will bring in from those other dimensions, quote unquote,
Right.
information that they can sense, because we have new senses, not new senses, but senses that we're becoming more aware of,
Right.
that have been scattered or however.
I'll call those new senses, and I think that we are developing it. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's one story under many names. This is why Aztec art looks like Egyptian art, looks like
Right,
Hindu art, looks like, and that list keeps going. And they always use the serpent, but I mean
right.
that's no surprise, different
Yeah.
snakes. But we have a couple synchronicities, you and I, by the way.
I've
So
noticed a couple common talking points, but I'm not sure
yeah,
about. And
I,
yeah.
I guess there's not much surprise there, but
Mhm.
the order of events is what surprised me. So, like, I
Okay.
started
Yeah.
writing a script on Entities in Gray,
Yeah.
and where I talk about Aldous Huxley's Doors of Perception.
Oh,
And
yeah, I heard that after I had my video.
that's what I'm saying, right? So,
I know.
whenever I was contemplating that part, I was writing about Aldous Huxley, and I flipped on the YouTube, and your
Yeah.
video was on
Yeah.
there. I had subscribed or whatever, and you were
Yeah.
talking about Aldous Huxley.
Yeah.
So I put out the video, and it was neat.
Yeah.
And then uh, uh, after the video was out, I started writing my next script, which is not out yet. It's going to
Yes.
be called Ka Ba Electric Stork.
Yeah.
Um, but you talk about Rupert Sheldrake in
Oh,
the
yeah.
video that came out after that, and I'm writing about Rupert Sheldrake right now.
Right. I met Rupert Sheldrake 15 years ago,
I'm so
and
mad
this,
at you.
I know it was a very small gathering. He was with his wife. There were about 15 people there, and his wife did a lecture on sound healing and
Oh
chanting,
wow.
and
Okay.
then he talked about morphic resonance and the science of being observed, or the research of that, however he phrases that.
I can see it now with him, his
Mhm.
Sheldrake being like his colleagues are like, you got to get off of that mystic shit. He's like, yeah, that's cool. Anyways, my wife's gonna open with fucking straight voodoo. We are
Heaven.
rolling into a new science, and I can't wait.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say earlier when you were saying how the information is coming through. I was just thinking about, oh, there was a time, and I guess it was called the Axial Age, where like the Upanishads and all of these mystics from all around the world in different cultures and different geographic areas all started to bring these fundamental principles through to the common knowledge at the same time.
Yeah, as long as we got the balls to let these scientists speak without smearing their careers, because
Hmm.
there's something I've noticed about, especially from people who talk about science. They don't realize something that's very important, I think. The guys that we hear science from are not scientists. And
Right.
the guys who are doing the science, we don't hear from them, and they're mystics. It's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
dude. So your classics like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye the
Mhm.
Science Guy. I fucking hate these guys
Yeah.
because the scientists are mad at them that they get on the talk shows and they regurgitate a sanitized version of. Meanwhile, Rupert Sheldrake is boots on the ground, hands
Totally.
on. David Bohm, these Talbot, these guys are real
Gene
scientists,
Radin.
right? And they always steer. Schrodinger, they steer into the mystical because they have no choice,
Yeah.
because their hands are dirty and they're in it. Whereas these guys who are science educators
Hmm.
are blind to what we're actually looking at. And I know I'll gripe about that a lot, but that's important to say it right at the forefront, I think,
Yeah.
before these conversations.
Hmm. No, I appreciate it. It's good. Yeah, it's let's go ham.
Let's go ham. All right.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
one thing that Rupert talked about, and then you in your video thoughts on ether. It was either
Okay.
that one or his minded. Oh, fuck, I can't remember the name.
I talk about him in a lot of videos over the
Oh,
past year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when he describes the moon appearing in the
Yes.
sky, but also appearing in each individual bowl of water, it captures that idea that there's one consciousness and we've downloaded it into several vessels. What I think a lot of people are missing about that analogy is that all the bowls are different, and
That's yep.
they're supposed to be.
Yep.
The cymatic pattern is going to be different for each
Exactly.
individual person. Some people got muddy water, some people got perfectly clear water.
I think our minds are synced up for some reason, because the last week I've been contemplating at night before I go to sleep this exact notion of yeah, I think people are attached to certain threads of gnosis or
Mhm.
something, and they're getting similar insights at the same time.
Sure.
I don't, so I was thinking about this, like we have our subconscious filter, we have our conditioning filter, we have our own personal small morphic field of that collects information, we have our energetic signature, we have these all these filters that filter the main spirit through.
What is
So
the energetic signature?
okay, so I watched your recent talk with the occult rejects, and I got really excited because there's a lot of things in there as you went over your script that you're going to present soon. There's so many things also that I've talked about um, in other videos too that I wrote down excited to share, that like that that flash of spirit of the sprite of this plasma that comes into the form. I think that when the female body, she doesn't even know it, but she in her individual field is creating this like vortex that's like inviting in that
Yeah,
process of the ether vortexing itself into form.
right.
And were you going to say something?
No, so yeah, the zinc flash, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So I think that's where the spirit comes into and starts to intertwine itself and animate. Okay, so the way I talk, I go all over the place and I go on a tangent. And so I'm about to bring in something else. I was
Everything's
thinking,
scripted. Let's yeah.
okay. I was thinking about cymatics, and I was thinking
Mhm.
about snowflakes, and I was thinking about, oh, well, those are just individual droplets or different individual samples. What if you didn't separate them into drops? What if it was just one long like elevator for a spear or for that
Yeah,
one long tube of that frequency? You know what I mean? Instead of separating it and seeing it in small sections,
right,
imagine everything as undulating cymatic frequencies like that.
right.
And I just think that that's the process of coming through at whatever, perhaps because of the system, the way it's set up, the planets being the archons, everyone having its own frequency and archetype, and wherever they are aspected upon themselves at the time of entry of that spirit into form
Yeah,
indicates that baseline signature of, like your natal chart or the way the harmonics were when you came.
yeah.
Yeah.
The music of the spheres were
Yeah.
singing different for you than they were for me.
Right.
Whenever I was born, and all of my
Yeah.
planets were shoved into one corner of my birth chart, right near Saturn, where made me an absolute workaholic and a drug
Okay.
addict, and gave me a lot of challenges to overcome, but promised
Yeah.
me good things if I did. But there's
Oh,
a fingerprint there, and there's a
yeah.
kind of a funnel. But I like the way you think with stacking the cymatic patterns with the analogy of snowflakes,
Hmm.
because we are so compartmentalized as
Hmm.
a species. As when we study things, it's always a cross section of,
Exactly.
which is handy for
Yeah.
specific details. But we end up seeing things like that, like the maps of like gravity, where you see it's like a trampoline, like
Right.
that needs to be updated to be a grid of cubes where the edges are warped,
Mhm.
instead of being flat. And maybe they shouldn't be surprised when there's a bunch of people who think the earth is flat. We've made everything else flat.
Exactly.
So, but astrology is something I avoided for a long time.
Mhm.
And in the next video, I didn't mention this on occult rejects, but
Mhm.
the end of of my episode, I talk about my unwillingness to mention astrology up until this point, because well, actually, in your video called Fields Within Fields, you
Yeah.
mentioned it's hard to get these points across because the New Age people have already smeared it with love and light.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be associated with strip mall tarot, and but I'm confronted with it. I can no longer avoid it. Uh,
Right.
Now I'm looking at it more scientifically, like um, it's not in a simulation theory way,
Mhm.
but what if the planets are the hard drive?
It's like the
Oh,
gears, like the way
yeah,
they're positioned.
it
Mhm.
creates an export. The atom cadmus
Right.
that Manly P. Hall called the solar system has an export of itself, like a carbon copy of itself, as above, so below. It made a little version of itself. We are the shadow of that, and that makes us all unique and have an individual. I forgot what you called it, but
Like signature.
signature, right?
You mentioned the Vajra, that instrument, the that creates plasma.
The Dorje.
I think it might be also called a Vajra.
Oh, it probably is too. I know that Vajra
Yeah,
yin
you got
yang.
one.
Huh?
You have one in your hand.
Yeah.
Oh,
I introduced this in the next video as well, and I go off on a tangent about how this is not decoration. And
no.
despite it being called decoration on anything textbook or Wikipedia, look up, if you go to the actual texts, ancient texts themselves, they say that this tunes the soul
Right.
because it is a mathematical rendering of the universe made flesh. And it's even
Right.
got little faces on it, like it's alive.
That is so cool.
This
I
looks
would,
like pinched plasmas in a lab, like
yeah,
Talbot we used to do. And whenever you see the Buddha holding this, he's holding it like this. He's pinching it.
right. So a couple weeks ago, somebody sent me a video about the that instrument, and I was thinking, I watched a couple of videos about it. I was thinking that's what you can use to make your own tulpa. Like you can imbue, you can bring in more spirit with that instrument, and
Oh,
with your intention, like create your own entity.
wow. Yeah, that's very interesting.
So I want to clarify what I meant by that and why I believe that could be a possibility. The Vajra here, this device, is recognized by Malcolm Bendall to be an actual tool that was used to create lightning or plasma or plasmoids in the ancient past, and has since named his free energy thunderstorm generator the Vajra after this instrument. And the free energy thunderstorm generator that you can learn about more on Thunderbolt's podcast and listening to him speak using plasma resonance and hydrogen implosion creates plasmoids. And with intention and with focus on the vibration or the frequency that's being held in the creation of these plasmoids, is why I believe that you could create a specific quality of entity from that.
if as above so below is correct, which I have no
Yeah.
reason to doubt, especially
Right.
thus far, well, that would mean if ether
Mm-hmm.
can vortex into the
Mm-hmm.
fall mineral world, or
Right.
living organisms, then living organisms should be able to continue
Yeah.
that process in the opposite direction and create as well. We are creators, but
Word.
maybe we don't just make bridges and Toyotas. Maybe we can create ideas
Oh,
that,
hell yeah.
right. I
Yep.
mean, like what scientists think make ideas is the brain. But what is
Right.
the brain? I mean, it's a field. It's an 11-dimensional field, and they're
Mm-hmm.
happy with that. Whereas Rupert Sheldrake's made it clear that a field is, by definition, I don't know about strict definition, but it's a place where something can be, can conceptualize, can grow.
Right.
So what's to say that a field, the rawest one that we have, that is just existence itself, can't maintain its own ideas? And maybe that's where our brain receives them as well, because
Right.
there's been a few ideas that I don't think were mine. They wanted to come through and they got
Oh,
stuck with me.
same.
Right.
And now I'm kind of more observing all of that, and experimenting with seeing, oh, what's coming through and what am I doing, as if there is no free will, just to experiment, like just
Yeah.
watching myself go through the day and doing what I'm doing. Like, okay, I'm just this instrument that's focusing the light in a specific way. So
Right.
what am I doing?
Right. Let it happen through you. This is what whenever I pray, I
Mhm.
always say something amongst the line of work through me, because
Right.
not only does it come out better that way, but sometimes we can't trust ourselves because we have animal nature, that really gets in the way. But
Yep.
you'll see the greatest musicians, 21 Pilots, Tyler
Mhm.
Joseph, in an interview says, I don't know who writes the songs.
Right.
I just go in the studio and it
Mhm.
falls out of me. And as far as I'm concerned, he's prime example, maybe not the singles,
Yeah.
but his deep tracks.
Before we get too far, I mean, he'll always come back into the conversation, but Rupert Sheldrake, I wanted
Okay,
to mention that what I shared with him after their presentation,
please.
because I think it's a cool story and it ties in with his just talking about the sun. It's not new. It's like 8 years ago. He's been talking about the sun being conscious. But when I saw him and his wife 10, I think it was 15 years ago, after their thing, I said, "Oh, I have an idea for a story based on what you're theorizing." And I was thinking about, if the observer has an effect on the observed, and then everything has its own morphic field that's collecting data,
Hmm.
and everything that's focusing, all the thoughts that are focused on that specific region also enhance the data that's there. All of the children throughout all of the generations that have been waiting for the first star to come out at night to make a wish and sending their wish to that star,
Right.
to write a book about somebody actually finding that star and seeing everybody's wishes like in holograms there. How cute it would be as a children's book.
Yeah, perhaps if we are in with the stars, which I guess is the way things are, and this is not just what science believes, but the Egyptians and everybody else. I mean, said that we are connected with particular stars.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder if there is if the quantum entanglement also includes the more subtle realms, so to speak.
Yeah. I
Maybe there's
can't.
an Akashic record, a
I
library up there on Venus
Yeah.
or Cygnus or whatever.
I really do believe it. I think that as an individual that has had subtle senses my whole life and am like a highly sensitive person, just that I can perceive more information in my brain. I guess I'm like neurodivergent, so I can receive more subtle information, and all of the stuff that everybody's bringing to light right now to as possibility, it's just so ingrained in my lived experience that it's like, yeah, yes, everybody, let me try and help explain how it is. It's so true.
Well, we need translators for this because
Yes.
this stuff is coming from two places: the
Mhm.
extreme complexity of quantum physics
Yeah,
and the extreme obscurity
right.
of ancient doctrines and
Yeah.
allegory. So we need someone in the middle. And
Yeah.
you're doing a great job. And I think that's
Aw.
what kind of my job is too. Speaking of people making wishes on stars, which is an ancient archetype, look, the other thing that people wish on is fountains. They use water. They throw a piece of metal in there, which is
Yeah,
conductive, into
yeah,
water, which has memory, and then they
yeah.
make a wish. And it makes me wonder. Everything has all these abstract things we do have an origin.
Mhm.
We don't know what they are anymore. Christmas trees. We put all
Right.
the lights outside and we bring the trees inside. It's so weird. Um, and so making a wish with a fountain is got to have some kind of prime. The stork has all these goofy things we do and say have these origins that I wish some of them are older than language itself, like the oldest allegory ever, except for like maybe the Iliad or whatever. Actually, I think it's before that too, because no one knows where it came from.
Mhm.
Is the idea of where did God hide the secrets of the universe, and his angels being like top of the
Right.
mountain, bottom of the ocean, how about on the moon? God's like,
Mhm.
oh, they'll reach all those places, and then finally he was like, I'll hide it within their
Yeah,
hearts because only the wisest will look there. And
right.
so, as weirdly specific as that story is, it's in every culture. I would
Mhm.
argue that uh, that was a global axiom once upon
Mhm.
a time before our language was a thing.
Yes, I believe that. And what was interesting when you were talking about with the occult rejects, the stork and the Egyptian story mythology, the Ka and the Ba and the Ra, and I was like, oh, it's almost like a spell, abracadabra.
Oh wow!
Almost. There's missing something
Yeah, I'm
that you
gonna
could
write
put
that
in
down. I
there.
might
You
steal
could
it.
figure it out.
Language is weird. It's a fluid, changing set of ideas, but I keep on being more and more surprised as to how language is not crazily different from what it was back then, like Elohim and
Mhm.
electricity,
Right.
uh, and magnetism and
Mhm.
Mary, and
Right.
I mean the list goes on forever. And
Mhm.
it's like we retain the important nuggets of mouth noises,
Mhm.
like as if we know that they're important somewhere dormant.
Yeah. I really liked how you were talking about when you talking about our relation to the stars and the way the pyramids were pointed and um, the possibility of circumnavigating the predestined perhaps route after death and saying, no, I'm shooting to the stars. And you said something that I thought was really funny when you were talking about the earth plane being a square and then the process of the triangle and then the circle. And it was, what did you say? You said,
There's a heaven meets earth element to that. And there's a reverse notion of that as well, is that we might be a square here, but we can triangle into the circle above. And that seems to be the whole purpose of all these megaliths in the first place.
I made you a trophy. I'm going to show it to you for your birthday.
Oh, you're okay. This is not something I said, but oh,
It's,
hey, did I say that?
yeah, you said that.
That's my quote that I said.
Yeah.
We might be a square here, but we can triangle into the circle above. That's we might be a square here, but we can triangle into the circle above. That's bars right there.
I know. I was like, is it that triangle away or is it this triangle away?
Well, I think that it doesn't matter because one would be spirit communing with people, but one would be, well, this would be the correct one if we
Yeah.
are talking about the pyramids and trying to triangle ourselves into the circle above. But send that to me immediately.
I will.
I'm going to have it 3D printed. I'm going to put it
Okay.
on my damn thing or something like that. And I'm going to share this whenever I share this. I want to share the picture of that.
Okay, sounds good.
That should be the thumbnail.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if it's an accurate way
Right.
of depicting it, but it makes it easy to remember.
Exactly. It's a good way. It's one of those good abstract mystical translations that, certain people need to grok with. Like,
Right,
oh, that makes sense to me.
right. And the triangle is the first shape.
Yeah.
So it's almost obvious that the triangle is the between worlds, because
Yeah.
before the triangle you just have the two lines and that doesn't have solidity. It can't exist, so
Hmm.
that's ether, so to speak. It doesn't have form. But when that third line comes in, maybe that's something to do with the Trinity, because it's always threes.
Hmm.
Maybe that's like the first shape in the Platonic realms that I think is the second highest realm.
Right.
And it can pierce, and it's got a point, so it can pierce. It makes it kind of track a little bit in the mind. But loosely speaking, I feel as if there's, and going from down to up, there's like our physical world, and
Hmm.
then there's our like what they would call the astral, which is our emotional, and everything.
Hmm.
But above that is like the electricity, that the plasma, the
Hmm.
ether that isn't conjoined with the astral. And then above that is the Platonic realm of perfect mathematics that we
Hmm.
pull from. And then the very top right above that would be just pure consciousness, this what
Hmm.
you call God or whatever. It's
Hmm.
probably a lot more complicated than that, but I feel like, intuitively feel like, if it goes in that direction from absolute mathematics to us in the physical realm, if we
Hmm.
keep going down into the quantum realm, we find ourselves like an Ouroboros right back up at the
Right.
top where it started.
Yeah. I think everything follows that format of the torus. If as it gets deeper into its dielectric core, it
Right.
then there's a moment when it flips upon itself.
Right. So we can all quit running because
Yeah.
we're just going to back to the starting line a lot faster. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, I made a video called Informational Ouroboros and I put the red and the blue snakes eating this, yeah, and talked a little bit about that
I'm going to have to
concept.
peep that one.
Yeah.
I know
D-
you mentioned something that took me by surprise, and actually I didn't know this, but you mentioned the Dogon,
mhm.
which is another Robert Temple fave.
Yes.
But they had the Nomos that were from
Yeah.
Sirius B,
Yeah.
and you described them as formless beings that
Yeah.
telepathically vortexed. Uh, Vortex ain't a verb. What am I? But Like, I didn't know that they were formless. Is this something the Dogon said, or are we kind of
No, no. I So I did read the Serious Mystery many years ago, and then just recently this year, as learning about the plasma discharge currents and how they resemble like the fish scales,
yeah,
and how the plasma, comes into bringing into the complex dusty plasma the way that he mentions it, finer than mist, this intelligent plasma that's finer than mist. So I was pairing because they say they appear from the waters and they convey information telepathically
right.
to how to advance their civilization or agricultural practices or mathematics, etc.
Yeah,
Let's watch the video and see what I said. I've been thinking about the process of plasma as the vehicle for spirit, and it seems to me that the fundamental substrate is the etheric black void, magnetism, the potential charge of dielectricity before vibration and pulse, turning it into individuated light, which is sound, and from there, the plasma takes form, the vehicle for the spirit. The plasma demonstrates electromagnetism, the first form of these plasma occurrences, which are, by the way, sentient, as Robert Temple writes in The New Science of Heaven. 99.9% of the universe is sentient plasma not in form. That means the small fraction of plasma sentience within form would be us, the beings in material reality. So we have this process: ether to dielectricity to plasma currents to light to sound to crystalline plasma formations that hold data and memory. I think these crystalline structures can travel and convey information through ways like telepathy, and combining that with the research paper from Anthony Perret in 2007, which revealed the similarities between sea pinch plasma occurrences and ancient petroglyph drawings, such as those of the Dogon tribe in Mali, Africa, who venerated the fish-like gods who came from the heavens to share information for the advancement of civilization and gnosis. The plasma currents look like fish skeletons in their initial form. To me, this is fascinating how these plasma structures resemble electrical skeletons. The more charge they hold, the closer they become to a toroidal field. When a plasma current evolves into a more complex torus, it begins to gain charge and gather more strength. As a closed-loop system, it can continue navigating through density, such as into the physical human body. That initial flash is the introduction of spirit, the plasma of your soul, animating the physiology. The skin and the layers of blood vessels and membranes act as capacitors, insulating and guiding the electricity that runs through us. So not only do we have our skeletal architecture and nervous system, but we also have our electric architecture, the plasma of our spirit, the fundamental structure. I'm still contemplating more about this, but I wanted to get this thought down today. Thanks for listening.
the water is a great analogy for formlessness, and
Yeah.
fish is always been a great analogy for depth and wisdom.
Yes.
So the two together, I mean, would that would create something of a formless being, you know? Not the Dogon, but the Babylonians, who seem to be talking about the same being when they call it Dagon for damn sake, like we were saying about religion. It doesn't, I mean, language. It doesn't change much over time, but
Uh-huh.
they described them as hideous,
Yeah.
like frogs, like fish, and they were hard to look at, you know. So I'm wondering if that. But then again, formless beings, as I've known too damn well, often appear as is terrible to look at, and maybe it's a reflection of our own psyche at the time, because the Babylonians were not necessarily good boys and girls, you know.
Right. Um,
Maybe the
yeah.
Dogon got a more pure version of the Nomos, you know. It makes me wonder what I'm doing wrong, because so many times in the DMT realm, I'm greeted by these wonderful, polite, wise, just absolute monsters who are just like an ugly cesspool of spiders and insects and stuff. And I'm like, man,
Wow.
thought you all were angels over here. Other people see clowns and shit. What is this? But
Yeah.
some,
I tried DMT 10 years ago, 2 times. This is just like pretty much exactly what I saw. Just this red grid with these formations. And then it turned into like this circus with this multi armed cephalopod creature behind
yeah,
me.
yeah, a lot of cephalopods, a lot of, yeah. Dude, I have a few very commonly reoccurring archetypes. I've never seen jesters. I've seen beings with multiple arms, and I asked why they had so many arms, and they said
Uh-huh.
that it's to reach into the spatial dimensions
Oh,
that
wow.
they're built for, which we are not built for. And that was interesting. But yeah, there's DMT has an entire world of its own. I think that there are common archetypes that
Hmm.
everyone sees, just because we mentioned earlier, uh, the individual, the soul, is
Hmm.
connected to one great spirit. So even though all of our bowls are different, like you mentioned, that Robert Temple said is that
Hmm.
the spirit within is the same as the spirit without, and we're pulling from that. And I think whenever that hits us, we find somewhere in the, actually, Dr. Gallimore talks about, it's from the hippocampus
Hmm.
that pulls memory to buffer the experience between us and something that's completely abstract. We give it a form, and for some people that's jesters, for some people that's machine elves. uh, I wouldn't call them elves. I've seen swarms of plasma insects, but maybe that's, again, that's just part
I
of
think
character.
I've been thinking about it, and because I've done different substances and they all have their own quality, and I
But
think that they bring their morphic field, it intersects with your psyche's field, and every single substance has its own door or window of perception.
right, it's got
It
its own
Yeah.
fingerprint. It's
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're able to see. It opens up a window for us to see into its realm, I think.
um. You heard about the mushroom that causes people to see tiny humans?
No, I haven't heard about that one.
It's been around for hundreds of years, but for whatever reason, it just now recently started making news. But
Okay.
it's called, this mushroom is called, first of all, the hallucination is called Lilliputian. Lilliputian
Right.
hallucinations means that you don't have a psychedelic experience. You just see little bitty tiny
Oh
people
my.
everywhere. The mushroom is called Lanmoa asiatica,
Wow.
Asiatica, and this species grows in two different places of the world that we know of,
Okay.
and those people describe the same hallucinations. And then
Mhm.
people, what I think brought it to the news was, we've always known that, or those people always knew that, and those two different peoples always had the same visions, coincidentally. But someone on vacation somewhere, it happened to be a professor, luckily,
Mhm.
uh, ate some of these mushrooms from a marketplace, and you're supposed to cook them first,
Okay.
but they were undercooked, and he had this hallucination and reported it, and that's when he found out, because he didn't know about it. But
Wow.
this particular mushroom makes people see little bitty humans in the same way that ibogaine makes you see dead people and is an absolute nightmare,
Oh,
and
I didn't know
mushroom
that.
happen to cause us to see elves,
Mhm.
um and peyote causes you to see, like, like light being, spirit, or whatever. Yeah, every
Yeah.
hallucinogen has a
A-
personality.
And also I think that every glitch of the brain has its own access point. Like
Hmm.
I grew up having fainting spells, and so there's something that like I have, like it's not quite epilepsy, but I have seizures throughout my life where
um,
all of a sudden I'll just everything will start buzzing and everything will go white.
it's a sign of a
And
shaman, by the way. That's how it starts.
oh yeah, well I'm probably a shaman then. um, because and then when I get an ocular migraine, I start to see the light. I think that each glitch of the brain has its own access point to open up a different window. So when I have an ocular migraine, the other day it was so bad that, or it was so intense that I I was looking out and everything was normal except for my body. It was all these shards of light. Like I was just pure electricity. I moved my hand. It was like blinding. It was so hard to keep my eye open. But I was thinking, oh my gosh,
Wow.
I'm able to see the electricity in my mind, in my body when my brain is glitched out in this way.
Man,
And
I wish we could get you under an MRI while
yeah,
that's happening. That would be so. So what
yeah,
Nikola Tesla said, that that's where he got his ideas, and I mean specifically the headaches with Nikola
right.
Tesla were associated with light that
Yes.
he could see,
Yeah, I
and
could see the
when they
light.
dissipated, there was an idea stuck to him.
And also what's happened to me is this experience happened. Oh my gosh, this experience. So when I was 7, I was waiting for the school bus. I grew up on the East Coast outside of Buffalo, and it was dark, and I was inside waiting. I didn't want to go, it was too cold. So I was waiting inside to see the lights of the bus. And then I'm sitting there, standing there, looking out the window, and I could feel this presence in the sky above me, this being. And it
Was
was I
being
didn't
looked
tell
at.
yeah, I didn't know who it was, what it was. It didn't feel scary. I didn't tell anybody about it. So that was when I was 7 years old. So fast forward now, I'm in California. 5 years ago, I'm 40 years old, and I start to have a migraine. And I go outside, and it's an ocular migraine, so I can see the light shards. I can see the diamond light around the trees are breathing. Everything's expanding. It's so crazy. I lay down because I'm tripping.
Ocular migraine, that's the scientific term for it, where you see light with it.
Yeah.
I need to write that down, but keep on. Please tell me.
Yeah. So I lay down under this tree and I try to just compose myself to not have a panic attack because it's so intense. And I start listening to all the sounds in my neighborhood, and I'm thinking in my mind, holy shit, this is the same sound patterning I've heard my entire life. I think that I am tapping into like what it is, the distillation of my energetic signature right now. Like I
Mhm.
feel like every sound I'm hearing, it's the same pattern and quality that I've experienced my whole life. Then in that moment, all time and space became one thing, and I was feeling and experiencing my all my memories all at the same time, and it wasn't
Oh,
overwhelming. It was just like I was just the expanded being. I was my awareness was expanded to the point where I could sense my entire life as a whole rather than just in sections like day by day.
that is the
So
definition of a near death experience.
yeah, so
But it
then
wasn't scary though.
right, well, my mind goes places, so I wasn't like that tripped out because I was going with it and
Right.
experimenting with it because I spent a lot of time on my own as a child too, astral traveling and feeling into those other realms and stuff. So anyway, so yeah, so this is 5 years ago. I'm laying there and I said, okay, well, if I'm able to be anywhere at any time, I'm going to go and be with myself as a child right now. So
Okay.
then I go and I'm looking down at myself waiting for the school bus. I
Wow.
I was the being in the sky
Yeah.
5 years ago that I saw when I was 7 years old. So I retro causally affected this life by going back when I had an ocular migraine and visiting myself when I was 7, which instilled in me when I was 7 this
Oh.
feeling that I was not alone, that there was
Oh.
something bigger.
Oh my God.
I know.
Like which one is the cause and which one is the effect? That
I
is,
know.
I guess I need to get out of linear time for that story, because
Yeah,
it is really something else.
yeah,
My goodness, that's a beautiful story. It's also
yeah,
fucking, that's very frightening.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences, and that's one of the coolest ones, but yeah.
Right. Had you wanted to go look at Egypt, like, 5,000 years ago or whatever,
Well,
you wouldn't have had that same effect on yourself once upon
right.
a time.
Right. I was it was a very specific to my life essence experience. It wasn't about traveling anywhere else. It was about like
Right.
pinpointing more information about this life or
Right.
becoming more whole or something like that. But
And that's what we're supposed to
yeah,
do. We're supposed to
yeah,
look within, you
yeah.
know?
I want to talk more about the light and the sun and something, but I need to take a minute. So can you still talk for a little while
Oh
or
yeah, I'm good to go.
okay, so I just need a 5 minute break.
That's perfect. I actually yeah, go ahead and do that now. Is Can we just leave this running?
Yes.
I might run up to my corner store,
Okay.
which is right there,
No
and
problem.
grab something to drink. I'll be right back.
Take your time.
All right, cool.
Okay. So how was your walk to the store?
I'm trying to do shit like this, and I can't help but think about, our ancient people.
Uh-huh.
It's like the old question is, how come God doesn't talk to anyone anymore? How come angels don't talk to people anymore? All these
Mm,
questions, and it's like, well, maybe if you look at the combination of our architecture and our diet and the way things have changed over the course of time, we've put a brick wall up, these Hindu
mhm,
temples and these cathedrals in England, and this architecture in Egypt, and the grid layout of these. It's almost like they were designed as well. They were like maps of the heavens, and
mhm,
it's like they were designed for communion with a higher realm. And now,
mhm.
instead of that, we just build these cubes, very mundane, regular houses made out of asbestos, and then our food is no longer straight from the earth. It's all processed. So of course God doesn't talk to anyone anymore. We're not getting a good signal.
Yeah, we're not getting the good signal. It's so
Right.
interesting. I was in my mind designing this concentric circles, wheels within wheels, this sort of fidget toy that one could use that has a laser light in the center and with magnetics are somehow shifting each of the spheres concentrically so that they there's this notch that lines up with each one, and only when they're lined up perfectly can the light shine through the whole thing. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, I was thinking about making this toy, and then the next day I was watching a podcast and someone showed like the exact replica of my toy design, but it was like this ancient tool that's so weird how these things come in to the how these thoughts are delivered, and are they magnetized specifically to specific people. Elizabeth Gilbert, I think, is the woman that wrote the book called Big Magic, about ideas being things, and they'll camp out for a while in someone's space, and if they're not being brought through, then they'll go somewhere else.
right. I've kind of moved on to doing videos that are, and there's no surprise here because the ideas are piling up. But
Mhm,
instead of reporting on a particular subject or two subjects that I think connect, I have this like idea of like
mhm,
it's all encompassing idea that it ties from all of these things together,
yeah.
and it's almost like those are more gratifying to make because they're original ideas or whatever, obviously. But it makes the show less stale. It's not like
Yeah.
a list of shows, and it's something that AI will never ever be able to do. It can't, because it can't create its own ideas.
You
um
inspired me actually to make my next video about something just with that concept. I was like, why don't I bring together a bunch of things that why limit myself to just
yeah,
trying to explain this one concept when it really ties into so many other aspects?
right.
And
I
I noticed that you do that, so thank you for sharing the
Yeah,
inspiration.
yeah, because if you take you'd be surprised how easily it unfolds. So if you have like
Mhm.
an abstract thought, For me, it was I wonder if the pyramids were built by the Nephilim, something I had never, that's never been uttered as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like grating my brain, and I would try to ignore it. And it just led me to this rabbit hole, and it unfurled into Mars Immutable, where I'm talking about the fallen angels came from Mars. And again, it's a laughable thought until you see the fucking full hour video, and by the end of it, you're like, dude, they were from Mars. Like,
Yeah.
it's so clear, and then it really, with Hopi Simulacra, I'm listing all my videos at this point, but
no, it's great.
With Hopi Simulacra is like 8 videos, like different videos, but it's because I had that idea of, what if we are living not in a computer program, but what if we designed our own simulation? And that became that, everything tied into it. So yeah, it's like you pick an idea that's abstract, purely abstract, to where point where you're almost afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And then you just let the things come to you. And I do what Robert Temple does sometimes whenever I have one of those ideas, is I'll go up to the bookshelf over here, and I'll just pick one off that looks right and open it randomly.
Yes.
And damn, there's something there that so Schwaller de Lubic's, like, this one I'm talking about, the Ba and the Ka, and it's Egyptian or whatever. So obviously I'm going to aim at Egypt on the bookshelf. Whenever I pulled it down, I opened it right up to this particular section.
Yes.
It was what I was talking about. It's about magnetism and the flight of birds. And
I know. I saw that.
I was looking at the stork thing. I was like, wow. And then I did it again with this one, but this one's more about the Jed pillar, and how that's the life force that is the Ankh solidifies through the Jed pillar, and that becomes from the Platonic space to the human form, and that's what the Egyptians wrote about there. So I'm like, at this point, I feel like, someone sometimes takes the wheel. I obviously have to have the human self-discipline to make those things come to fruit, but yeah, it does feel like sometimes the ideas find me. They don't want me. They try to get someone like Rupert Sheldrake, but then they get stuck.
They want you for a very specific reason, and everyone has their way of.
Do you have this one? It's called The Secret of Life by Georges Lakovsky.
No.
Do yourself a favor, ma'am. Heather, I'm telling you, get this book.
Okay.
It's beautifully illustrated too.
I'm trying to bring up this painting because there was something you said when you were going over that book on occult rejects. You said, the body beneath the bark. I don't know where that came from, but it was in reference to the spirit into form, I think.
The body in the bark.
The body beneath the bark. And
I bet you there was a real zinger there. I can't remember it though.
Yeah, and it was talking about like the stork concept of, the deliverance of the spirit into the vessel, into the womb, and then I made this paint.
You did this painting?
I made this painting like 20 years ago, and I never knew what it meant until just recently. I think it's the vibration of my plasma. And it looks like the stork, the bird had discharge coming down into the bark of and then I put my family tree down here. And this is like the ripple of my cymatics.
Yeah. This painting is so utterly delightful.
Thank you.
Can I get, I hate to make a demand, but
no, I can send it to you, a picture of it.
Yeah, if you print me up a whatever size thing, I'd love to hang this up in the studio and change out my artwork every now and then. And this is perfect, and it's also personal. So yeah.
It's so interesting. Like, these symbols are only now making sense to me when I painted it 20 years ago.
And it looks like the Jed pillar too.
Yes.
With an Ankh and an Uwas.
Yes, exactly.
What a happy accident. And there's like an ancient looking, like, Hopi dude.
Yeah.
And Carl Jung says that the female has a male soul. So maybe
Oh,
that's you.
right. Right.
Can this be the other half of the thumbnail? So one half is my trophy and the other half is you, and that
Yes,
represents the duality of both
you
of
can do
us.
that. If you can make it.
Yeah, send me both and
Okay,
I'll
I
whip
sent
it
you the
up.
trophy already, and
Yeah,
so then I'll where
that's
um
awesome.
so yes, thank you for doing that.
Well, it's
Uh
interesting,
yeah.
especially because we have always considered, same thing as this little fidget toy that we consider decor, by the way, that can spin very fluently, and I just only noticed it while we've been talking because he said
Wow, that
spinner.
is great.
But these we thought they were decorative, the Ankh and the
Mhm.
Uas and the Jed, but they're not symbolic. Whenever we look at plasmas in a in laboratories, we find that they are those exact shapes.
Right.
The Ankh is just flat out plasma that's ejected from what's called
Mhm.
a I forgot the name of it, but
Z-pinch?
so, yeah, I think that's it. Temple talks about it.
Yeah.
But then the Jed being how it's solidified, that funnels into the human body because it's a pillar and it's got those spokes to it like a
Right.
spine does, you know.
Yes.
It's like they weren't just symbolic with their symbols. Their symbols were representative directly of what that plasma is doing at that time that it does it. And it blows my
They're
mind.
like ladders. They're connecting ladders.
Right.
The spiritual ladder and the physical ladder, the spine and the discharge.
Yeah. And so it's literal. It's
Mhm.
a rare occurrence
Lateralis.
where it's a literal, it's a symbolic literal. There means we need a new word at
We
this
need
point.
all new words.
So that's really something else, because all other mythologies are pretty much symbolic. Zeus with his lightning bolt, which I
Right.
think he's holding this a couple times, but that's symbolic.
Yeah.
Shiva with her multiple arms, she's entropy, chaos
Mhm.
before order.
Right.
It's all symbolic because it's
Mhm.
personification. The Egyptian headdresses, though, they were anatomy and they were chemistry. And I remember, finding out that those chemist equations where you see a chemical compound, it's got
Mhm.
the hexagon and the branch that sticks out, that finding out that that's what those actually look like. They're not just textbook
Right.
layouts of chemical compounds. That's what they did too, except they made it beautiful with hats and
Yeah.
yeah. So it's Egypt is just always full of new surprises every time I turn around.
And I'm curious about the seals, the Solomon seals, and how they look like, circuitry.
Yeah, right. Have you seen the Book of Ja?
I looked it up recently. I've seen some images online. Yeah.
Yeah, those are electrical diagrams, and there's no way around it. I mean, whenever Jesus was spitting those bars and drawing those electrical diagrams in the sand, um,
Right.
he was telling his disciples that this is a map. This is the shape of emanations of God, and coming off of
Mhm.
those are the archons, and the archons are not going to let you through
Mhm.
when after you die unless you know these diagrams like a labyrinth. It's something that you have to memorize, and it's like it's no wonder that was left out of the Bible. First of all, I mean, I
Right.
digress, but the fact that they look electrical is very telling when we compare them to Solomonic sigils, or any sigils for that matter, and then comparing those to circuit boards
Mhm.
and the layout of Hindu temples. They're
Exactly.
all identical, and it almost makes me wonder if that's what the labyrinth archetype, if that's how that originated, maybe
Mhm.
because uh, by the time anything got to Greek mythology, it was everything literal was off the map. But looking at it now, it's like this Mandela behind me is also kind of
Right.
one of those, the Book of Jah is kind of what that looks like too, except he's got the archons or emanations of God. They're actually in this particular diagram, but all these are many names for the same thing. And even Carl Jung was like, I don't know what it is about these Mandelas, but something about studying them and having them imprinted in our minds makes things easier here, and it's like a guide.
I was just listening to a Grandmaster Rosicrucian person yesterday speaking about meditating on symbols, and that's how a lot of information comes through that's ineffable. Spending time just gazing at these specific symbols like the monad or the labyrinth. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Chinese alchemy, whenever they would drink their elixir, they were made to stare at specific mandalas and diagrams that worked in in sync with the tincture that they drank, and that was Chinese alchemy. It was oh my goodness, guys, we just had a rare moment where the cats hissed at each other.
Oh no.
It goes to show you that alchemy certainly is more than just chemical.
Everything okay with the cats?
Yeah, I guess they're just being they're not outside right now because it's getting cold around here. So
life is life, and it's beautiful to have those things, to have those elements in your life.
It'd be life, and yeah. Thank you for the reminder. It's a wonderful thing to have, and it's not worth trying to fight these things. Just causes more aggravation, you know.
Have you read Jung's I haven't, but I'm curious, 7 Sermons to the Dead that he did under the pseudonym?
Yes, that's in the Red Book, right?
I don't know if it's in the Red Book.
I believe it's in the Red Book. And yes, I've read it, and very confused about it.
Basilides of Alexandria is what he named himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. The beings did?
Carl Jung named himself Basilides of Alexandria to write this particular book.
Wow. No, see, I did not know that part. From what I remember of it is the spirits, they came at him and they're like, we didn't find what we are looking for in Jerusalem. And now we're here to knock down your door because you're susceptible to us or whatever. And it was a vision of his, and he didn't want no one knowing about it. So he wrote it down and kept it under lock and key until I believe after his death, about 10 years after his death or whatever, that his family could release or whatever. But man, imagine stepping into his shoes and he was all psyche. I would pay so much if it just for a chance to see Manly P. Hall or Carl Jung put their eyes on the new science of electromagnetic stuff. They would light up.
And put Walter Russell in there too.
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, I think Walter Russell would be telling them to sit down and take notes.
Yeah, right.
But it's like Manly P. Hall always uses the word dynamo. He'd say, and some kind of dynamo emerged from, and I think that's what he was talking about. They just discovered that light has a magnetic property to it, and that magnetic fields affect light, and that light also carries a magnetic field that interacts both ways. And what that seems to indicate is that everything is just different forms of light.
Right. And which I think is ultimately it's the perturbation of the ether. It's the negative and positive charge of the dielectricity, which begins to spin upon itself and create this oscillation or vibration. And that, which is the perturbation of the ether, which Nikola Tesla says is what light is, which is also sound. And as it builds upon itself, then it becomes more concentrated into that vortexing, the phase differentiation, and then it becomes a plasma. And then it becomes, if it continues that vortexing, it flips back upon itself, then it becomes its own self-sustaining torus field. And then not only has it just become created, then it can then create itself. That's
Yeah.
why I think this larger mind, the psyche, the realm of where these things emerge or emanate from, it's not a big stretch to think that a concentration of awareness, if the observer has an effect on the observed, and our thoughts, and our attention and where we focus our awareness, and developing these egregores or thought forms or tulpas or ideas, and we allow them, with like the vibration gets stronger as there's more attention on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it becomes a thing.
Right. That makes me think two thoughts. One is like a question. I wonder if the difference between light and sound is literally just our eyes and ears.
Yes, I think so. I think it's our perceptual interface that's separating
Right.
them. Like
So
lightning is actually thunder. Like they are the same thing.
Yeah. And we have two different organs that pick it up. Therefore, we think it's two different things because this is pretty close to home base,
Right. Mm-hmm.
But like so I have kind of a schizophrenic neighbor, and he runs around yelling. I used to think he had a roommate or a wife because he'd be yelling at somebody over there, and there's no one over there. He was showing me screenshots on his cameras, and he was like, "There's people in my yard. There's people in my car. They're going in my sheds."
Wow.
And I was looking at it. I was like, "There's nobody
Oh,
doing
wow.
that." And he'd be like, "No, look at this shape or whatever." And he's like, I think it's like demonic energy. And there's nothing. There really is nothing. I kind of had a little thought experiment in my head that occurred was, I was looking out the window and I thought to myself, I was looking at this thing or whatever. If he saw me looking at something and I saw the same thing, or he thought that I saw something that he did, it would startle him in such a way, right? In any way, shape, or form, if I was to feed into that and be like, yeah, there looks like there's something there, then that would grow in his mind, and then that would become at least an idea in my mind. At which point, if an onlooker, say the neighbors across from him, saw both of us looking at the same thing in some weird moment of like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
And then they learned about the situation, they too would have an idea about it. And I wonder if that would eventually feed into that nothing. I mean, hell, what is the Big Bang if not everything from nothing?
Right.
And it would create something that is alive. And in order to stay alive, it would have to continue getting attention.
Exactly.
Little perturbations and little disturbances in the field. And eventually, if it got big enough, it will win everybody to pay attention to it on Sunday morning and sing it praise.
Yes.
It's a disturbing thought, but.
And it's like all I made a video about the spires like pulling in, because the spires affect the ether vortexing, so it pulls in the sprites into those buildings. And I was thinking like, well, the people that go in and they feel inundated with this Holy Spirit, well, who knows what spirit came down into that and entered into those people's fields.
I was thinking last night about these old church spires and perhaps how they harnessed free energy from the ether. Also, these can be found on other types of architectural buildings and designs from history. And I was thinking also about plasma as currents and how 99.9% of reality is made up of sentient plasma that can self-organize and build charge upon itself to become more of an individual. Maybe these church spires were intending to draw down individual spirits, the spirit into the spire, and in that case, the individuals who go inside the building feel an increased charge of what they might think is the Holy Spirit, but who knows what actually entered into the building, or perhaps into any of the individuals that attended the mass.
Also, what you're saying reminds me of a lot of these small villages that have these myths of these cryptids, and over the generations, they're like, yeah, this flying woman owl creature comes and kidnaps the children, and then it's like, whoa, actually, I did see a flying owl. Like, you guys are making it very real.
Right. And yeah, then our hippocampus is really quick to add an image, an archetypal image
Yeah.
to it, which kind of explains the evolution over time of a lot of these beings that, for example, let's say UFOs.
Yes.
Once upon a time,
Mhm.
they were flying turtles. That they were religious chariots in the sky.
Yeah.
And then in the medieval days, they were literal boats, like ships.
Mhm.
And then,
Scrolls.
right, in the 80s, they had fantastic, like disco colors, reds, and blinking lights and
Oh,
stuff.
have you done a video on the progression of UAPs?
Oh, yes, I have. It's called
Okay.
Jung's Problem with Flying Saucers or something.
Oh, okay, I'll have to check that one out.
But yeah, they're all different over time. And then you go into the 2000s, they look like PlayStation 2s. They're sleek black. And then
Right.
today we have drones. And then, of course, sometimes people see them raw form, which would be a plasma orb or whatever. But I think a lot of those drones, by the way, were us sending drones up and to study whatever those orbs were.
Yeah.
And we seen that footage of the orbs shooting them down. Congress just had a huge hearing. This is almost tragic the way they addressed it. UAPs, what they're calling it, was just maneuvering, right angles, doing whatever the hell it wanted, going in the water, out of the water. So they decided to be brilliant and shoot a Hellfire missile at it, which I guess apparently is the top dog missile explosive, but it didn't detonate, which is impossible.
Okay.
And it batted it away. It split into 5 pieces and then re-emerged into one piece. And then the Hellfire missile it went into the ocean and it didn't detonate. It was disarmed, which they said was impossible. What's tragic about it is not one time in the hearing did anyone mention the word orb, plasma, ether. What they did say was, this is scary because their technology, the UAP, their technology must be nanotechnology in such a way that its parts and components can split off into individual atoms and reemerge into itself. And I'm like, how much more complicated can you make this? Like,
yeah, exactly. I think they need to consider the medium, the multidimensionality of the medium.
Yeah.
And how different phases of substances can navigate through the medium in ways that would seem impossible because we think the air is not water or something like that,
Right. They're still stuck on it being a hard vehicle that is owned by somebody, and they won't let it go. They've seen too many movies, and it sucks for the population who might be into UFOs, watching a congressional hearing, thinking that that's the way to take it seriously when these guys are just so in the dark,
There was a couple things I wanted to mention about. There was a near-death experience, because I wanted to talk about your video that you're making with the sun one more time.
Sure.
A near-death experience that I listened to a few years ago. This man was stung by a bee, and he went into shock and had a near-death experience. And I don't know if you saw this one, but there's this entity that came up upon him, like an orb entity, to collect his golden light strand and to read its information, and it put it into some sort of technology to read, like a light reader. So when I heard that a couple years ago, it reminded me of a past life regression therapy session that I had like 10 years ago, when my intention was I wanted to see what my soul looked like. And I went into this clearing, into a meadow, into the woods, and there was this golden flashing light, like a bunch of filaments of light floating. And so then when I heard the guy in the near death experience talk about that, I was like, wow, that's what it, yeah, there's like this gold, there's like a filament of light that we have interwoven within us that comes from somewhere not in this density. And then there was an experience I had a decade ago as well on a substance. I think it was acid. I was looking up at the moon and I could see either angels or spirits or beings either going to or coming out of or going into the moon. And it was
Wow. Probably
like one
both.
of those etchings by Dürer. I think he has an etching of this the sun or the moon and all these angels or spirits coming in or going out of it. And
Yeah.
none of the other lights had that effect. It was just the moon. And I wasn't the only one that saw it, my friend at the time. So that it opened up that window of perception for us to see that. And so there's something with the moon and the sun,
Yeah.
perhaps the electromagnetism, the
Mhm.
polarities of that. And like there was someone who did a video who was talking about the solar flares and saying, look at these look alive. Like they don't just look like flat. They like, are these souls?
Right.
And then what information is coming out now, someone looked at mother's milk under a microscope and it looks like light, like it looks like it looks so beautiful.
The
Yeah, I
lake
wanted to say all
of
that.
milk and honey, you know.
Yeah.
It's like they call it a golden light, and it's
Hmm.
depicted as a golden light. And
Hmm.
I mean, just about every culture out there, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have the white substance and all in the same cultures, you know. In the Hopi culture, it's like a silk that is given from the spider mother.
Hmm.
It's the manna in
Hmm.
Israel, and yeah. So there's some kind of something to that. Even in the Kundalini thing, there's the Christos oil,
Hmm. Right.
and then there's the cerebral spinal fluid. I'm probably messing that up, but one's
No,
white.
you said it right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like there's something about that has to do with us, and the Kundalini is tied into it. That's something I've been trying to look more and more into. But yeah, even depictions of souls are often depicted as like being a golden humanoid form, if not an orb
Mhm.
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're making this video and it's going to be great. And I am always so impressed how you tie everything together in such a cinematic presentation for
Yeah,
everybody to
uh,
enjoy.
I'm looking forward to this one being out because it's abstract, and it was one of those spur of the moment ideas that I had to get out of me as soon as it happened. I was actually writing a script for a video called Sky Daddy Issues.
Okay,
This one was pestering me to put that one down and pick this one up while it was, I guess, fresh in my mind or whatever. So Electric Stork it is. That's coming
it's
up.
great. I guess I'm observing myself getting really tired and not having the energy to continue bringing up great points. But I want to try and make it through to say thank you for talking with me.
Of course. Yeah. We can do a short one that what
Yeah.
we have today, and then we'll do another one on another time. And
Oh, that sounds so cool.
yeah, don't be shy. I want more channels like yours to
Okay.
be known about. And what
Okay.
I mean by channels like yours
Mhm.
is original non AI
Mhm.
human soul.
Yes.
I don't care what medium is being
Yeah.
performed. I don't care what the video looks like or
I'm
sounds
still
like.
finding my way.
Right, right. And that's and keep doing that because I mean, don't worry about making YouTube videos. Make
Right.
make a message and
Yes, that's
package it the best you can,
exactly.
and it'll find its way, and then it'll grow. And people are always talking about I want to do this or I want to do that, but I'm not ready yet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, then do it again. Make a slop version of whatever it is that's pent up in you and put it on the internet. And then in like 3 months from now, maybe a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, you'll remember that idea, and then you'll just do that same thing again, but with a different production. There's no one.
Yeah.
This isn't a one time, one chance thing. Repeat the same idea until it comes to fruit the way that you like
That's
it.
what I've been doing over the past year with the ether and the Taurus and everything. I keep going, and then I'm like, oh, it's time to do another presentation. And I say, am I just saying all the same things? Maybe I am saying some of the same things, but I'm
Right.
really getting the distillation of this message down, and
Right.
it's important that I keep going.
Yeah. Your YouTube channel is a record of
Yes.
your own learning process.
Exactly.
Right.
And I don't care about leaving up and feeling, oh, I didn't say the right thing. Then I think it's important to watch the evolution too, if anybody wants to.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you said that you don't have birthdays anymore because you made a contract with somebody.
Now is the time, even though Carl Jung made it very clear. He says life begins at 40. Everything up until that point is just research. So I might go ahead and allow it to become 40.
Yay.
But it's going to stop there.
I'm going to sing you happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy early birthday to you. Happy birthday to Joey. Happy birthday to you. Nice.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.